All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a genuinely fascinating narrative straight out of the ancient Mahabharata. But look, we aren't just treating this as some dusty old myth today. We're going to examine this excerpt for what it really is, a high-stakes, fast-paced cosmic thriller. It has absolutely everything. We're talking a mysterious existential threat, a hidden enemy base, and a desperate search for the only specialist in the universe capable of pulling off an impossible mission. As we go through this, you're going to see how this ancient text structures a perfectly paced problem-solving narrative that still feels incredibly cinematic today.
This right here, this is our cold open. Picture this stark, terrifying reality facing the celestial beings. The gods are in an absolute panic. They are witnessing an imminent, totally unexplained collapse of their universe. Someone or something is systematically taking out the Brahmanas, the spiritual leaders and saints, under the cover of night. And the gods quickly realize this isn't just a localized tragedy, it's the pulling of a thread that threatens to unravel the entire fabric of existence.
Section 1. A cosmic crisis. The gods are caught in a really desperate dilemma. According to the text, the Earth's people normally live in this perfect symbiotic ecosystem, totally free from trouble. The Brahmanas make offerings that sustain the dwellers of heaven, but now, a mysterious enemy is assassinating these key figures while everyone sleeps, striking at the very foundation of the system. Look at the terrifying domino effect this creates. Step 1. The Brahmanas are destroyed. Because they're the ones propitiating the gods with offerings, their loss completely severs the spiritual supply chain. That triggers Step 2. The Earth, losing its balance and divine protection, meets with destruction, which directly leads to Step 3. Heaven itself ceases to exist. The source text lays this out as a cold, hard equation. The celestial leaders have zero idea who is doing this or why, only that the clock is ticking and they are desperately trying to prevent their own extinction. This crisis matters to literally all of existence. Section 2. The Ocean's Dark Secret. Faced with impending doom, the desperate celestial leaders take their crisis straight to the top of the chain of command, Vishnu. Think of Vishnu here as the ultimate cosmic intelligence provider. He immediately declassifies the hidden truth, telling them, "To me is known the reason of the destruction. Listen with minds free from tribulation." And here is the intel he drops. The perpetrators are the Kalakeyas. Vishnu defines them as an exceedingly fierce host of demons. But the absolutely crucial point here is that these aren't just random monsters who popped up out of nowhere. No, they are surviving insurgents from a previous, massive cosmic war. They actually used to devastate the whole universe under their old leader, Vritra. So the gods are dealing with hardened, veteran operatives who hold a deep-seated grudge against the celestial order. So historically, their leader Vritra was taken out by the sagacious, thousand-eyed Indra. It was a massive victory for the gods. But when their leader fell, the Kalakeyas didn't just surrender. Instead, to save their own skin, they executed a tactical retreat into Varuna's ocean. And not just any ocean. The text goes out of its way to note this ocean is abounding with sharks and crocodiles. They essentially turned the deep sea into an impenetrable, heavily guarded fortress. From there, they emerge only at night to kill the saints, effectively evading capture while systematically exterminating the people. Section 3. Recruiting the ultimate specialist. All right, so the gods now have the intelligence. They know exactly who the enemy is and exactly where they are hiding. But they face a brand new, seemingly impossible obstacle. I want you to think about this question for a second. How do you actually defeat an enemy hiding at the bottom of the sea? The Kalakeyas are surrounded by millions of gallons of water, guarded by sharks and crocodiles, and they only come out when they have the tactical advantage of pitch darkness. The gods can't exactly march an army down there. Vishnu explicitly tells them that because the demons have taken shelter within the sea, they simply cannot be slain by conventional means. The fortress is way too secure. And this is what brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of ancient Indian epics. The solution isn't to build submarines or drop depth charges. Vishnu's punchy, incredibly dramatic solution is simply this. You dry up the ocean. You just completely remove the enemy's cover and their terrain. It's an incredibly bold, almost absurdly massive tactical maneuver. You don't fight them in the water, you literally take the water away. But I mean, how do you do that? Ordinary forces and conventional weapons are entirely useless here. Vishnu makes it clear they cannot be assailed by any other means. Instead, they need a specialist. Vishnu names a single legendary figure with a resume tailor-made for the impossible, Agastya. He says who say Agastya is capable of drying up the sea. Basically, when the universe needs a literally earth-altering miracle, Agastya is the one and only name on the list. The gods don't waste a second. They immediately mobilize. Based on the text, here's their urgent action plan. First, they have to get clearance from the absolute top, taking permission from Brahma, who lives in the highest region. Second, they travel straight to the hermitage of Agastya, who is noted as the son of Mitra and Varuna. And third, they must approach this magnanimous, high-souled sage who is described as looking like an embodiment of pious works piled together, wait upon him, and strategically butter him up by reciting his glorious past deeds.
Section 4. Agastya's legendary resume.
The text essentially frames the gods as recruiters pitching an impossible Black Ops mission to a retired heavy hitter. To pull this off, they stand before him and read off his unbelievable track record of past miracles, reminding him exactly why he's the only entity capable of taking out an ocean. Point 1. When the gods were oppressed by a tyrant named Nahusha, who the text calls a thorn of the world, Agastya was their refuge. He literally threw Nahusha down from his throne in the celestial regions. Point 2. He halted the growth of the mighty Vindhya mountain. Point 3. When darkness covered the world and beings were harassed by death, obtaining Agastya as a protector brought them the utmost security. This is a guy who solves universe-ending problems before breakfast. I have to point out this fascinating, specific detail the text gives about the Vindhya mountain. It says the mountain began rapidly increasing its height out of a wrathful competition with the sun. It was literally trying to rival the sun in altitude. But why did it stop? It didn't stop because it ran out of rocks. It ceased to increase because, quote, it was unable to disobey thy command. That is pure, unadulterated intimidation factor. Agastya is so incredibly powerful that a massive geological formation fundamentally changing the landscape of the Earth just stops dead in its tracks because it doesn't dare disobey him. Section 5. The final pre. So, having thoroughly reviewed this jaw-dropping resume, we are brought right back to the present moment in the hermitage. The gods have made their case, they've identified the threat, and they've acknowledged his absolute, unmatched authority over the natural world. Now they make their ultimate ask. The gods say, "Whenever we are beset by perils, thy reverence is always our refuge. For this reason it is that we solicit a boon from thee." They are laying the fate of the entire universe squarely at Agastya's feet. They're essentially saying, look, you are the one we always come to when reality itself is breaking. They are leveraging his own history of magnanimity and power to ask him to do the unthinkable, drink the ocean dry so they can slaughter the demons hiding at the bottom. And that brings us to our final thought. This ancient text loves using larger-than-life environmental obstacles, like towering mountains and uncrossable monster-filled oceans, as metaphors for impossible burdens. But it leaves us with this really fascinating question. Does the weight of past success make us the eternal caretakers of the future? Agastya just wants to sit in his hermitage, surrounded by saints, piling up pious works. Yet, because he is literally the only one capable, the universe comes knocking at his door, demanding another miracle. Does he accept the mission and drink the ocean? Well, you'll just have to dive further into the Mahabharata to find out. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.